pollution is the biggest crisis in front of us because increasing population, civilization, industrialization, creating huge waste waters. Through industrialization, we get all the wastewater effluents which is full of hazardous chemicals. Our regular increasing population is creating huge waste, human waste, through toilets, to urinals. All this wastewater and chemicals, if we let it just go through our regular rivers or whatever nearby water resource we have, that resource is going to get contaminated, right? That is water pollution we are talking about. How to stop this? Our government has a specific department for it, which is called as a Pollution Control Board, PCB. In Maharashtra, we have Maharashtra Pollution Control Board, MPCB. Likewise, every state government has its own pollution control board. And this pollution control board has made a very strict regulatory actions. It has made a laws. What this law states? This law states that through regular human waste or maybe a industrial waste, whatever effluent you get, we cannot directly let it to river or nearby water resource. We have to treat it first. There are the treatment plants we call as effluent treatment plants, ETP, or a sewage treatment plants, STP. Through these treatment plants, so this pollution control board has made very strict laws how to treat this wastewater and effluents to prevent the water pollution. What it states is, whatever, let it be an industrial waste, let it be a domestic waste through toilets or urinals, latrines, that water has to be treated in effluent treatment plants. What these treatment plants do is, there are filtration machines which actually first filtrate all the germs. It kills, that processes kill all the germs, microbes in the water, wastewater. Then it separates all the floating particles and other impurities of the water. And what it gives, that is a output water, output effluent, which is quite good, which is not polluted, and then we can let it to the rivers or whatever nearby water resource we have. Rather, we can reutilize that water also for plantation. Obviously, after the wastewater is treated, the output water we cannot have for the drinking, but that output water through the effluent treatment plants, we can always reuse that water for plantation purpose, gardening purpose, and other purposes, obviously, washing our cars and other things. So there are the strict law of the pollution control board that even a domestic waste, chemical waste through the industries, that has to be first treated in the treatment plants, and then the output effluent has to let in nearby water resource. Let's say there is, in a domestic buildings, in a complexes where we live, we cannot have this huge machinery and the treatment plants, right? What is the process over there? Even there also, there are the septic tanks or soak pits we use. What does it do is, whatever human waste through the toilets and latrines we get, it first biodegrades all the biodegradable substances over that, and then whatever the output is, it is let into the drainage. If suppose this biodegradation process is not possible, then at least there are the septic tanks where all the solid waste through that effluent is separated from that wastewater, and remaining water content is led to the drainage part, or the soak pits we can say. What is the soak pit actually? Soak pit is a pit filled with the specific layers of the soils which actually enhances the speed of seeping down of water. So automatically, whatever the wastewater we are talking about, it has all these solid suspended particles in it. It automatically separates all that. Only water content is soaked, it's seeped downside in the ground, and all the solid waste material is left in the soil. It helps in creating manure also, and it helps in developing the groundwater levels also. This is how we can prevent the water pollution. To prevent this water pollution, we have effluent treatment plants, we have sewage treatment plants, then there are the soak pits, there is a septic tank. Let's talk about how do we get our drinking water. Drinking water is supplied by a corporation to our houses, right? How do we get that drinking water? What do you think? These rivers or ponds or lakes, is that water fit for drinking? Even do we drink outside water? Our parents won't let us do, right? Why? Because maybe a water outside, whatever the 0.3% water source we are talking about, it's fit for regular use, for the plants, for other use, for industries. But for drinking, we need a proper purified water, which is actually a rainwater. If you can directly accumulate a rainwater for our drinking purpose, nothing like it, because it's the purest water we get from nature. But once it is on the ground, it doesn't remain that purest, right? Things start dissolving in that water in due course of its flow through the rivers, through ponds, through lakes. So automatically that water is not fit for us for drinking. Then how do we get our drinking water? That is called as a potable water. Government spends a lot of money on these projects, which we call as water purification plants. We get that water from the rivers or ponds or lakes where there is a water reservoir nearby the city, and that water is purified in these purification plants. All the solid suspended particles are separated, all the germs are killed, and that water is made fit for drinking. Most important part of this purification plant is chlorine. Do you know that chlorine has the properties to kill most of the germs in the water which are harmful to our body? So whatever water we need to purify for the drinking purpose, it's mixed with the chlorine. That process is called as chlorination of the water. So that chlorination of the water purifies that water up to the desired level, and then that water is fit for drinking. Then that water is transported to our houses by the pipeline. So think about it, this corporation is spending huge amount of money on providing us a fit drinking water through our taps. So it's our responsibility as a citizen that use that tap water very wisely. We should always close the tap after we use it. Let it be a basin sinks tap or in a bathroom. We always have to close the taps. It should not simply just waste the water. Also, we should think about how can we reuse the water once used in the houses also. So use that water which is provided by corporation to us very wisely, because corporation has spent a lot of money on that. So that was all about the potable water. We have to think when we are discussing all such things, actually nature has abundant water, right? And nature has created its own arrangement through evaporation phenomenon, that every year we should get a most purified sweet water for our use. But still we are struggling with the water scarcity. We are struggling with the water crisis. So there is a huge crisis of water even after this abundant natural resource. Water is getting polluted. We have to stop that water pollution. We are not getting enough usable water, and our corporation has to spend huge amount of money on purification of that water to make it fit for drinking. How to manage all such things? We have to do the water management. Yes, even if it is naturally available, even if there is a rain every year, still we need to learn how to manage the water sources. When I'm talking about the managing water, what exactly I mean is, we have to do two things. First, increase your income and decrease your expenses so that you are left with a good balance. think it in the way of water sources. How we can increase our income of the water? There should be proper rain every year. For that, what we can do is we can stop deforesting, we can plant the trees, right? So rainwater will be plenty. Now, how we can stop this rainwater from going back to the sea? How we can make it stay? We can create dams on the river. Government is already doing that. We can have ponds and lakes more and more. On the mountains, on the hilly region, water is simply washed away, and also it washes out the soil layer with it. So for that, what we can do is, we have already seen there are abundance through which we can make water stay on those horizontal steps we have made on the mountains, and we can make more and more soak pits through which that rainwater will percolate down in the soil. It will help trees for growing because they will get enough water through their roots. And second, once the ground level of the water increases, we can have a plenty of water through wells and tube wells as well. So we can do all these such things for increasing our income. We can have more and more water for our use. At the same time, we have to think about how to decrease our expenses. After the utilization of water for industries or for agriculture, for our domestic use, whatever is washed out, whatever is given out is effluent, the wastewater. According to the Pollution Control Board's norm, we have to treat it in the treatment plants. After this treatment, whatever we get, even if we can reuse that water, we are saving a lot of water again. So reusing all the effluents after the treatment is another part to decrease our expenses. Apart from that, all the old wells which have been blocked and closed, we can reopen them by opening their blocks. Obviously, the soak pits and other aids we have talked about, those will help in increasing groundwater level. So all the wells we can again reopen and utilize that water. And also, all the water resources we have, let's say river, lakes, dams, ponds or wells, we have to keep replenishing them. Now, as a human being, we cannot man-made the water, we cannot create the water. Otherwise, we would have started creating the water in laboratories and we would have replenished all those water sources. But we cannot make it in the laboratory, so we are dependent on the rainwater. So whatever rainwater we get, we need to try to replenish all the water sources we have. Let it be rivers, ponds, lakes, wells, tube wells, whichever. So by these all means, we can manage our water uses to the optimum level and we can have an abundance of the water. There is another most important aspect which is coming nowadays, that is rainwater harvesting. What is rainwater harvesting? First, rainwater we all know. What is harvesting? We have already seen in a crop management that once the crops or the plants are matured, then we cut those, and what output we get, that process is called as a harvesting. So through rainwater harvesting, we mean that nature has already given us a product, a ready-made product. We just need to reap it, we just need to harvest it. Every year we have the water. India is a tropical country. We have monsoon for almost 3 to 4 months in India. So we have plenty of water naturally. Even if we start harvesting this rainwater, even if we collect that rainwater and store it properly, then we will be not into any water scarcity in near future. How do we do that rainwater harvesting? Any living complex, where do we dwell? So how do we do actual rain harvesting? India is a tropical country. We have monsoon every year for almost 3 to 4 months. We have a plenty of rainwater with us. Every building has its roof, right? And whatever water falls on that roof only, even if that much water is accumulated and collected, that is self-sufficient to provide all the drinking needs throughout the year. Trust me. So, in the rainwater harvesting project, what we do is, there is a structure on the roof of every building which is connected to the small pipelines into a main drainage pipeline. Wherever the rain comes, all the water falling over that roof area is collected through that pipeline and then it is taken to the tank, a storage tank. Most of the time it is underwater storage tank, because once the tank is underwater, there is no exposure to sunlight and automatically there is no contamination. We can have a storage tank downside the underground storage tank where we can store all this rainwater. Once that storage tank is full, we can use it for drinking and other purposes throughout the year. Once that storage tank is full, then whatever the excess rainwater we are collecting through this project, we can just let it to the soak pits. We can create the soak pits which will help that water seep down the ground, and in turn it will help to increase the groundwater levels as well. So this phenomenon is called as a rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is a major solution for water management. Even if we start doing it, we are not dependent on corporation for our drinking and other water uses. So automatically it will save a lot of money of the government, as well as it will never leave us in the water scarcity. So while discussing about the water as a natural resource, let's summarize what we have discussed in all. Water is very important for all of our lives. Without water, we cannot survive. And water actually is the biggest natural resource we have on the earth, because 71% of the earth's surface is already covered with the water. But out of all the water resource we have, 97% is there in the oceans, which is a salt water, which is of no use for the living. Remaining 3%, out of that, 2.7% is in the form of ice on the polar region of the earth or in the underground. So we are left with only 0.3% of water, which is very less amount, and we need to utilize it wisely. Which are the forms of the water we get? There are 3 states. One is a solid state, ice. Liquid state, the free flowing water in the oceans or rivers, ponds, lakes, wells. And there is a gaseous state of water, that is water vapors. We get water on this earth in these 3 forms. And water can evaporate at any temperature in between 0 to 100 degrees Celsius. 0 degree is a melting point of water, where ice starts melting and start converting into the liquid state, that is a free flowing water. And at 100 degrees Celsius, water starts boiling and it's converted into its gaseous state, that is the water vapors. But water can actually evaporate at any temperature ranging from 0 to 100 degrees Celsius, and that is the most important and beautiful phenomenon of the nature. Because of this phenomenon, every year we get rain. Also, through this phenomenon only, salt is made at the seashores in salt pans. But nowadays, due to the increase in population and industrialization, our water sources are getting polluted. Our government pollution control board has a strict laws to prevent this pollution. Any industrial waste, any human waste, domestic waste has not to be let into the nearby water sources directly, but it has to be treated into treatment plants, in effluent treatment plants, or at least in a septic tank or in a soak pit. After purification only, we should let it to nearby water sources. So, preventing the water pollution and managing the water What is the water management we have looked about? To increase the income and to decrease the expenses. We shall plant the trees, we should stop cutting down the trees, we should stop deforestation. We should create more and more soak pits for rainwater to seep down into the ground. We should do the rainwater harvesting. This was all about our discussion about the water. Let's go through the question and answer. Go through question and answers. The first question. When water is the largest resource, why can so little of it be used for drinking and agriculture? Obviously, we have seen this in our discussion. 97% of the water resource is in the ocean, which is salt water, which is of no use. 2.7% is in the form of ice on the polar region in the earth. So we are left with only 0.3%, which is actually a sweet water, usable water, which we get from the rain every year, which is used for drinking and agriculture. Next question, what is meant by groundwater? Rainwater, when it is stopped, it stayed on the ground, it seeps down the soil and going down underground it creates a water source. It's accumulated over there and that is called as the groundwater. Let's go to the next question. Next question. What are the different forms in which we find water on the earth? There are three forms. One is a regular liquid free-flowing water, which is there on the oceans, rivers, ponds, lakes, dams, wells. Second form is a solid form of the water, that is ice, a condensed form where we get ice. We get ice on the polar region of the earth and on the top of the high mountains like Himalayas. There is a third form of gaseous state of water, what we call as a water vapor. In atmosphere, we get water vapors, what we call as a humidity. So these are the three forms we get water on the earth. Let's go to the next question. How is salt obtained from the seawater in salt pans? We have already seen it. The beautiful phenomenon of the evaporation helps us getting salt from the seawater. At the seashore, there are the sea pans made, which are shallow or deep. In the high tide, water comes to those salt pans. In low tide, when water goes back, salt pans are filled up with the water. That water is retained. So due to the natural phenomenon of the evaporation, water evaporates. Only water evaporates, leaving back all the dissolved salts and minerals. Then that remaining part is purified and salt is made. This is how we get salt from the seawater in the sea pans. Next question, fill in the blanks. First, to prevent the evaporation of water from lakes, dash dash is sprayed on the surface of the water. City learn over. Good. Second, an increase in temperature causes dash dash evaporation. Increase in temperature causes faster evaporation. Good. Last one, the proportion of dissolved dash dash in polluted water is low. Oxygen. When the water is polluted, the dissolved oxygen level goes down, and that is why it is not fit for drinking or agricultural purpose. Let's go to the next question. Match the following. In group A, we have World Water Day, rainwater harvesting, potable water and irrigation. In group B, we have canals, 22nd March, 28th August, chlorination and groundwater level. World Water Day. World Water Day is observed on 22nd March. Rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting we can connect to the groundwater level because rainwater harvesting let groundwater levels to increase. Third, potable water. Potable water main process is chlorination, through which we get our drinking water. And fourth, irrigation, we can connect it to the canals. And fourth, irrigation, we can connect irrigation with the canals. What is irrigation? Where there is a very less rain, we need to provide water over there. So from the dams, lakes or the rivers, we have canals to that area where we have very less water, and we re-divert this rainwater to those areas. That is called as the irrigation. Let's go to the next question. Give reasons. 1. Water sources are formed under the surface of the earth. While flowing through the surface of the earth, water seeps down through the soil, through the percolation, and deep down under the surface of the earth, it accumulates to create a groundwater. Second, groundwater levels are falling because more and more consistent use of wells and tube wells, we are utilizing that groundwater, but at the same time we are failing to replenish it because population of the water, rainwater, is less day by day. That is why ground levels are falling day by day. Next, if we dig near river banks, we find water level quickly. What may be the reason for that? Not only at the river bank, but even if we dig near to any water reservoir, groundwater levels are higher because there is a nearby water source. Water automatically seeps down the ground. It percolates, and in nearby area of any water source, groundwater levels are way higher than any other place which doesn't have a water source nearby. So automatically, near the river banks, if we start digging now, we get water very quickly. Next, wet clothes become dry after some time. A beautiful phenomenon called as evaporation. Due to the evaporation, wet clothes hanging on the strings get dried up in some time. Next, water is found in the solid form in the polar region. Now we have already seen that 0 degrees Celsius is a melting point, or we can say a freezing point for water. Below 0 degrees Celsius, water starts condensing and forms a ice, changes itself to the solid state. So at the polar region of the earth, there is not enough sunlight and there is not enough temperature. At the polar region of the earth, there is always temperature below 0 degrees. So automatically, water content over there is transformed to the ice. So we get those ice at the polar region of the earth. Next question, what laws have been made by the government to prevent the pollution of water? We have already seen it. Pollution Control Board of a government has made the law that any wastewater, chemical, hazardous chemical effluents or domestic waste through toilets, latrines, they not are going to lead to the nearby water sources directly like that. They have to be first treated in the treatment plants, what we call as a effluent treatment plants or a sewage treatment plants, where there is a filtration process. All the harmful hazardous chemicals, floating particles, germs are killed into that process, and the water is purified, and then that water, purified water, is led to the nearby water sources. That is, the law has been made by government to prevent water pollution. Next question, write notes on the following topics. 1. Potable water. What is potable water? Whatever water sources we have in the city, maybe a lake, a dam or a river, that water is not directly fit for the drinking. So what corporation does is, it sets the purification plant of the water for providers the drinking water. It brings that water to that purification plant. It has the purification process mainly called as a chlorination, which kills all the microbes and germs of that water. It removes all the suspended particles, floating particles, and it creates a water which is fit for drinking, and then that water is supplied to our houses by the pipeline. That is called as a potable water we get for our daily use. Second, water management. At very first place, let's think about what is water management. Managing whatever water sources we have and making an optimum utilization of that and avoiding the wastage is called water management. How do we do the water management? 1. Whatever water content we have, we use it wisely. After the all effluent and wastewater is generated, we treat it, and after the treatment, we reuse that water for agriculture, for plantation, gardening, other industrial work. Also, we shall do the rainwater harvesting. Through rainwater harvesting, what we do is, we collect all the water coming from the rain on our roofs. We accumulate that water in the storage tank which is underground, and we use that water for our drinking and other day-to-day life purposes. Also, we can make that rainwater which is accumulated through the pipeline from the roof of our houses to go into the soak pit, which will increase the groundwater levels. That is rainwater harvesting. Through rainwater harvesting, we can do the water management better. Next, rainwater harvesting. We have already talked about it. So this was all about the question and answers regarding water, a natural resource. I hope our discussion has helped you understand water as a natural resource in a better perspective. Keep studying, stay tuned to Study Spectrum and have fun. Thank you very much.